And we are. Hello, everyone. How are you today? We're so glad to see you. This is the last day of this month's Christian Writers Conference Directors Week. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Today, we're talking to Hallee Bridgeman. She is the director of the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference that's held in June. Every conference director that we've had as a guest this week, their conferences are in June. And actually, of the 4 directors, 3 of them, their conferences are the same exact weekend. That's never happened to me before. So just an interesting piece of information. Hi, I'm Patricia Durgin, and this is Marketers on a Mission. We present marketing tutorials and interviews by and for Christian writers, speakers, and artists. This is episode number 259, the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference with Hallee Bridgeman. Hello, Hallee. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. I'm just amazed at what you've accomplished in your short lifetime, Hallee. 500,000 sales, 500,000 book sales. Come on now, that's a big deal. That is a big deal. Congratulations.
As an indie author, yeah.
As a what?
As an indie author.
All of your books were from indie publishing?
All of my books are indie published, yes.
Now, is that because your husband is an indie publisher? Has an indie publisher company? Or was that, which came first?
Well, we decided to publish independently, and then we started researching what that meant, and in the process started our publishing company. Okay. So I was the first author published by Olivia Campbell Press, but I was not the last one. Yeah.
Well, that's fitting. That's fitting. I'm just telling you right now, I'd like to have you back if the Lord allows you and your schedule allows, because 500,000 sales as an indie publisher, 100%. That's very intriguing to me, and it is to my audience as well. So you've got your husband was in the National Guard, is in the National Guard.
Yeah, he is currently in the Kentucky National Guard. Yeah.
Viewers, before we got on, a few hours before we got on, Hallee got a notice and her husband, they were eating lunch, got a notice that a possible tornado is in the area. So we have already prayed about that. Would you take a moment and pray for Hallee and her family and her area? She lives in Fort Knox, Kentucky. You're the first person I've ever met who lives in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Yeah, I'm in a military housing right now. Yeah.
Does that create a lot of questions when you introduce yourself and it comes up in conversation that you live in Fort Knox?
No. Yeah, no, I would expect that, but it never has. Yeah.
Wow.
As often as I speak, and I've spoken all over around the world, no one's ever said, "Oh, Fort Knox." Like every once in a while, there's a joke about the gold in Fort Knox. That's it.
Really? That surprises me. That surprises me. Now, tell us a little bit about your speaking. We're going to get to your books in just a second, but you truly have. God has given you some really interesting adventures, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's been, every time he says, "Do this," and I think, no one wants me to speak. What are you talking about? And so just this impression, you need to be speaking now. And so I made a page on my website speaking and what I would speak on and all of my areas I'm willing to speak on. I thought, okay, I have obeyed. No one wants this. And like the next morning I had 3 emails. And then there was in 2015, I think I took 30 trips everywhere from Sydney, Australia to Vancouver, Washington to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and all sorts of places in between, speaking and teaching. So it's been wonderful.
Okay, I'm gonna sharpen up my speaking page. see what happens. We're doing it as a result of his directions. We have several people here with us. Let me recognize them. Lee Pollock is here. Judy Gordon-Morrow. Hello, Judy. It's always good to see you. Susan Pierce wants to know, how do you choose the right publisher? And that's a great question. Susan, Hallee happens to be married to her publisher.
Yeah,
I don't know that that's going to fit for everybody. We have information for you about the conference today, the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference that's coming up in June. But there is information elsewhere that I can share with you after the program to answer your questions, okay? Let's see, Michelle Neville is here, praying for Fort Knox and the Bridgemans from Owensboro, Kentucky. So that weather system just passed over where she is. Stephanie Gaddis is here. Hi, ladies. Bit of trivia. There's also a historic fort called Fort Knox in Maine. Look at you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Yeah. I'm a history person, military history particularly. So cool.
I'll have to look that up.
Good to have you here, Stephanie. And Marlene Houck is here. Hello, Marlene. It's always good to see you as well. So you've got one book or two books to show us before we dive into the conference?
I have my most recent series. You asked me what I was working on. So I just finished book 2 in a series called the Dixon Brothers series, and I had book 1 with me. And that one is in the Out of the Blue Bouquet collection. It's with 5 other authors. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because the book that I'm currently writing is part of this collection, the Crossroads books. There have been 4 Crossroads collections so far, and the 5th one is the one that my most recent book is going to be part of. So in the Crossroads collection, all the books by all these different authors have to have a similar, something to tie them together. So with the Out of the Blue collection, all of them had a misdelivered flower delivery as part of the plot. And so the run coming up is going to be a June release, and everything has to have a wedding dress. And so there's a wedding dress design. And then the last book ties them all together. So like in the Out of the Blue collection, the last book written by Amanda True was the florist who had all of these misdelivered flowers. And so my the second one I was in called Yesterday's Mail, all of them had to do something with misdelivered mail. And so I had a 1942 package be delivered to a bed and breakfast in College Station, Texas, and the grandson of the person who was sending it happened to be the one who received it. So, and so then in the last book, it was the woman in the post office who had found all of these old packages and then sent them out. So anyway, it's very different and fun. And the next one, the one that we're working on now is June Bride's one called The Second Yes. And so
this sounds like a unique marketing technique, and I like it.
And the readers have loved it. Like, it's this constant review is I love how the last book tied it all together. So, and it's been the brainchild of Amanda True, and she's written the final book in all of them. And so that's been a lot of fun to be part of that with her. So Olivia Kimball Press is publishing it, and it's called the Crossroads Collections. And so it's been fun. I have really enjoyed being part of it.
Now, when these are all finished and published, what number will you have published? Books will you have published?
How many will I?
Including these that you're writing and talking to us about right now.
There'll be 28.
There'll be 28.
Yeah. I'm writing number 28 right now.
Bless you. Okay, I have, pardon me?
Since 2012.
I have about 500 questions but that's not about what you just said, but we're here about the conference today, so I'm going to rein it back in.
I will come back and talk to you about me.
Okay. You don't mind coming back and talking to me about yourself?
No.
Oh, let's see. Stephanie Gaddis says, I love those plot ideas. Misdelivered flowers and packages. So fun. I agree. Let me cover the nuts and bolts of the conference, the basic information about the conference. And
okay.
We'll dig into the faculty and the workshops here in just a moment.
Okay.
The conference name, viewers, that we're talking about today, the title is the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference. The dates, again, are Thursday, June the 20th, which starts at 7 p.m. with a little bit of a meet and greet. So Thursday, 7 p.m., June the 20th. And it runs all the way through 3 p.m. on Saturday, June the 22nd. Lots of information about what's happening within those two windows.
Yes.
Or in the window of those 2 dates. The location is a college, and give me that information again for me. That was a long name that you told me.
Okay, so it's in Elizabethtown.
Yes.
College is Elizabethtown Community and Technical College. So we call it ECTC.
Okay, Elizabethtown Community College in Elizabethtown, obviously, Kentucky. That's about 45 minutes from Louisville, viewers. What's the nearest airport? Would Louisville be the nearest airport to that?
Yeah, Louisville.
Okay.
Or Nashville. but more likely Louisville.
Yeah. You'd have a little bit more of a drive if you went to Nashville, wouldn't you?
About an hour longer.
Yeah, but there are people who live so close, have relatives so close. I mean, just go to grandma's house, give her a kiss, and then come to the conference. Tell us about how, well, first, I have many questions. So let me get my breath. How long have you been in charge of the conference, and or how old is the conference? Or are they the same?
They are not the same. The conference was started, let me think. This is our 22nd conference. We celebrated our 20th 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. And it was started by, my mind just went blank. Her name is Kate. And she just started, like, there needs to be a Christian Writers Conference. And so she started writing like handwritten invitations to people, and she started it in Elizabethtown, Kentucky. And so I joined the board or the planning committee 5 years. I've been doing it for 5 years now. And so this is my year as director. I'll be director next year, and then someone else will take it over for me. So.
Oh, okay. So that leadership role is on a rotating schedule.
It is, yeah. Because we're writers, and writing is a full-time job.
I couldn't figure out how you'd be able to be so productive in your writing and the other things that you're doing, going to Australia to speak and so forth, and still run a conference. So I'm glad you clarified that.
And, I have an amazing planning committee. I pretty much have meetings and listen to all the wonderful things that they've done. So it's been great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it?
It helps. Yeah.
We have, excuse me, Adria Hendricks Wilkins is here. Hello, Adria. It's good to see you. She's from Kentucky. She graduated from WKU. How does this conference differ from Blue Ridge Mountain Christian Writers Conference? I hope that you'll be able to discover that as we unfold what the conference includes. But do you have an answer to that that's a sentence or two long, Hallee?
Yes, the Blue Ridge is 5 solid days. This is a day and a half. And essentially that's the difference.
Okay. Because you still got both conferences have top quality faculty, fantastic workshops, a great location, even though it's different, It's a great location. All right, so let's dig into it. Susan May Warren is the keynote.
Yes, I'm so excited.
That sounds like a coup to me. Is that a coup?
That is, Susie is a friend. And so when they asked me to be the director, I called her and I said, can you be my keynote? And she said, I think that would be great. And so then I went to the planning committee and the executive board and I said, Susan May Warren is my keynote. And they said, really?
They did.
So I was like the star of the hour. And all it was me, calling in a favor on a friend. So
I have to ask, I'm always talking about Christian Writers Conferences and Speakers Conferences and the relationships that are developed there and how they last, many of them last for years, and they're both business speaks over into professional and vice versa. So Did you and Susie meet at a Christian Writers Conference?
We did. We met at the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference. And she and I connected as I was teaching about indie publishing. And it was something that she was looking into because she was getting ready to go hybrid. And so my desire is to teach proper indie publishing to Christian authors because there's so much bad information out there. And so I made it like my mission to take that platform and go with it. So she was a willing student and we became really good friends.
How delightful. That may be another topic for another conversation. So we're up to 3 now, today and 2 more. Let's talk about the faculty. We're really, I'm going to name some people. We're not going to go down the list. That's a little cumbersome. Rachel Gardner. Let's just start off with Rachel Gardner. Another coup, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, we're so excited about Rachel.
Is this the first year that she's going to join you?
As far as I know, yes. Yes.
Mhm. Tell viewers, please, why Rachel Gardner is an exciting faculty member to have attend.
Because she is an agent at one of the largest literary agents in the country, at Books and Such literary agents. And my faculty chair, Hannah Conway, I told her, ask everyone. That the worst they can do is tell you no, and we might get some amazing staff and faculty. And suddenly we're getting, Books and Such literary agency coming to Kentucky for this conference. And I'm so thrilled. I can't wait to meet her and shake her hand.
I like your attitude. I agree with your approach. Christy Hareen is here. Hello, Christy. It's good to see you. I hadn't seen you. We've been missing you. Glad to see you today. She says, hello, Hallee. Hello, Patricia. Jenny Baumgartner. I think you know this person. Greg Bridgeman. Is he in the other room?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you, again, so let me go back and tie into your personal history for just a moment again. Were you already married and had children, and you were a family, and you were a lady who wrote, and then he became a publisher who publishes? Is that how it worked?
Yes.
Okay.
Story. It's a testimony. I can give it to you, or we can do it next time.
If it's not long, give it to me. But I don't want you to make it too short. We want all the goods.
So when we decided, after our youngest child slept through the night for the first time, he was in Afghanistan. And he said, okay, your job is to get published. And I wrote secular romances. And when I sent off my first book to be published, I was convicted very strongly by the Holy Spirit about what I had written. And so I rewrote the book and made it have a faith arc along with the romance arc. And it became this amazing, wonderful book. And that was basically the path to Christian publishing that we started. And because of the way that I write, and I had never read a Christian fiction novel at that time, so I had no idea how to do it. I just did it my way. And the book was very, very gritty. The publisher called it too risque for her audience because of some elements in it, but it ended up being in the top 10 on Amazon Christian romance for 2 years after I published it. So we decided, once we got that notice back from the publisher, that we probably needed to look at starting our own publishing company because of the way that I write and the way that I don't want to be held back from what the Holy Spirit wants out there.
Yes.
That indie publishing. I have this reader base, like some of them have never read Christian fiction. They always read me, and some of them, eat up Christian fiction as fast as I can put it out. And so it's really awesome.
How many books do you write a year?
I used to write a lot more than I do now. I used to do one every 60 days, and I have intentionally lowered my pace to 3 or 4 a year.
That's lower. I love it. I love it. Janet McHenry's here. Hello, Janet. It's always good to see you, friend. She said that she loves Rachel Gardner.
Yeah.
And I've never talked to anybody who knows her or has worked with her that doesn't say the exact same thing. So yes. I pray to meet her someday. We'll see.
Yeah, the text from Hannah when she confirmed that she was coming was hysterical. It was like all caps. Rachel Gardner said yes.
Excuse me. May not be pronouncing this correctly, but Sheris Brooks. Tell us about Sheris, please.
She is like a motivational speaker that is so very good. I think that she's doing an early bird session for us. Mm-hmm. When she was confirmed to come, it was, we need to put her in as many places as we possibly can because everyone will want to keep hearing her speak. So we're really excited about her. And I think that she's focusing on like your spiritual life and your writing life together. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yes, that was my take on it. Michelle Chenoweth.
Michelle Chenoweth is quite talented author. She writes, I think, suspense, and she teaches all sorts of aspects of writing. She was one of our faculty last year at the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, and our paths have crossed several times at several different conferences. And so I'm excited that she's decided to come back. So.
Well, we'll get into the workshops. I'm fixing to ask you about Greg's workshop, but we'll get there. Rhonda Dragomir, Christy Hooray. Christy Hooray!
Yeah. Christy is our publicity. So she's really awesome. Yeah.
And she's doing the publicity for you as well?
Yes. She does all of our like publicity and news releases, and she writes the newsletter for the conference. So she is like seriously a gem in this. When I said I had a really talented faculty, she's at the top. She's like the cream. So. Okay.
I'll be talking to you, Christy. Just a heads up. She's been with us several times. There are many others that are, let's talk about the workshops. We don't want to leave anything out. We start right off with Cherish, the art of developing your devotional. And I see that with each of the workshops, Hallee, that they have the title, of course, and then after the title, it's craft or business or general and so forth. And explain how those would apply to a new conference, please.
So what we call them tracks. And so what we've decided to do is have specific tracks. Craft, which is basically how to write. And then like business, the business side of publishing. So it can be, marketing or accounting or whatever your spiritual life. So we have different tracks. And so that's what that's for, is so that you know which one that is. And they'll be all in the same room. So like all the craft ones will be in the same room. So you don't even have, all you wanted was craft at this conference, you know where to sit. Set up shop and never move, And we did that last year, and it was really well received. People really appreciated, knowing exactly what was coming next and where to be and what that meant to them in their specific, what they're seeking in this conference. So
okay. Let's see. You're going to, oh my goodness, here you are right here, building a newsletter list. This is near and dear to my heart. Newsletter lists seem to be such a boring topic, and yet it's, we'll either talk about this tomorrow too, viewers. It's critical, isn't it?
Yes, because the people who sign up for your newsletter are the ones who want to hear from you. And so anything you can say is something that they're going to read and take in. I mean, the first newsletter I ever signed up for 25 years ago, I still get once a month in my email. It's just like, I still look forward to getting that author's newsletter. So
viewers, if you don't have a newsletter list, or if you have one but you're not quite savvy on, why is everybody talk about this? You could have 1 million social media followers, but if your newsletter list is low, you have less targeted audience interaction than you think you do.
Absolutely.
The real connection comes through an email relationship, giving them valuable information and occasionally letting them know what you have to sell. We'll talk about that more another time, because that's a hot button for me, so I got to watch that.
I'm actually teaching like a 2-hour workshop for that in Indiana this weekend. So just newsletter.
is the one here at Kentucky, is it also 2 hours?
No, it'll just be an hour. So I'll condense. I've done it in an hour.
Yeah. Another one interested me, audio books that speak to you. And this, the gentleman, I don't have his name. I can't remember why I don't have his name, but he started working with you way back when and won an award narrating one of your books.
So his name is Gene Rowley. And Gene has been a voice artist for years. And he and my husband were in the 20th Special Forces group together in Afghanistan. And they were tent mates. And so they're like battle buddies and closer than brothers. And he owns a radio station in the Birmingham area in Alabaster, Alabama. And he is so talented. So he did Sapphire Ice, and then it got nominated for a Voice Artist Award. And I'll tell you that how impressive that is that the person who won the award in the category he was nominated in was John Rhys Davies.
Was who? We had a glitch.
John Rhys Davies,
Oh,
who was,
really?
you know who that is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the caliber of actors he was up with. This is like the Oscars of voice artists. And so he's been nominated 2 years in a row, and he's done all of my books that, like, he's steadily, like, still probably today recording the book that he's working on now. So I have 6 books by him, 2 that are in editing process, and he's in the middle of recording another. So he's amazing. And so he's going to teach audiobook production and what that means and what to do and what not to do and what to look for and the legalities behind it. And he's quite brilliant.
As someone who has had that service and you're marketing your books with that, tell us, as I'm trying to decide, pretend scenario. I'm trying to decide whether to attend his class or not. Why would I want to do that? How would that help me sell more books or reach more audience members? What value does that bring to my marketing portfolio, Hallee?
Well, when you go into audiobook production, just like with, especially for an indie, just like with everything else out there, there's people that are just out to make a quick buck and they don't care about the end result. So there's things to look for to find the right artist. There's things to listen to. He has, like, he just went to someplace and just randomly picked a sample of an, and you could hear like a toilet flush in the background, you know, and that's just simply an unprofessional audiobook. And when audiobooks are listened to voraciously, people who listen to them, and if the actor is bad, or if the sound isn't good, or if the quality is bad, they're not going to get you again. And also, if your actor is good, they have their own fans. Mm-hmm. And so people who love Gene Rowley are going to come and listen to my books just to get his voice, you know. So it's important to have a professional quality product at the end. And Gene is going to teach people how to make sure that you know what to look for. Okay.
If I would live near Kentucky, I would be there, because I'm totally interested in that. Our own Tracy Crump, critique, give and take.
I love Tracy. She's like one of my favorite people ever.
Me too. Me too. She's so talented and so willing to share everything that she knows. It's so wonderful.
I know this weekend is
helping me out.
Yeah, this weekend is her Mid-South, and it's the first one I've ever missed. And Greg and I were talking last night about how we've never missed one before. One of us has always been there. So we're kind of sad that we have, like, he has drill and I have speaking. So
Judy Gordon-Morrow is helping me pronounce Rachel's name. It's not Rachel. Judy says it's Rochelle Gardner. Thank you very much for correcting that, Judy. 50 Shades of Marketing. Oh, 50 Shades of Marketing. And that also sounds very interesting. I like that title.
Yeah.
Let's see. Your husband, Greg, nailed the narrative, timeless, trusted tricks to newer novel notions.
Greg is very good with alliteration. So he teaches a class called He Said, She Said, which is all about dialogue, which is brilliant. Everywhere he's taught it, the room has been packed. And so this was his follow-up to He Said, She Said. So you have brilliant dialogue. Now you're going to do brilliant narrative. So
I saw that he was doing that with the dialogue, and it made me wonder, and not at all saying anything negative. Is he gifted in that area, since he's not an author? Did it just naturally come to him? Did he get trained on how to recognize the strengths and the weaknesses of that?
He is a writer. We met in a writer's group, actually. But what he is like highly skilled as an editor. And one of the things that he understands is the different brains that males have and females have. There's some military training involved in that, and I can't talk about that. But, women think differently than men, and they speak differently than men. And, they speak so many more times words than men. And men, speak in a different order than women. And so there's like all of these things about men and women that are different. And so if you never know that, and you're a female author and you're writing dialogue and your men all sound like women, it's not going to read the same. Mm-hmm. You're going to lose your characterization understand that difference, or can just, organically realize that it's different. So his class is really enlightening. And in fact, someone asked if he would print it out for them so that they could give it to their daughter who was about to get married, because they thought it would be a really great relationship class about men and women.
That sounds interesting too.
Yeah.
That helps me understand it in a different way, because I've heard of other, Christy says, love Tracy Crump. Everybody loves Tracy. We're right in that same boat with you, Christy. I've heard dialogue workshops before, but I've never heard that definition of them, that description of one, and totally changes my level of interest in it completely. Let's see. Just a few more. There was something that you were doing that I thought we had already talked about. Oh, yes, the screenplay, turning your book into a screenplay. You have a really wide spectrum. Children's, you're talking about poetry, talking about children's work, you're talking about screenplay, audiobooks. I mean, this is a wide spectrum in a day and a half.
And we've added, which isn't on the website yet, it will be now, it should be soon, a half-day teen seminar.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. That's on the registration, but there wasn't information about it. What is that? Is that for a half day? What does that include? Do you know? Are you ready to share that?
We have, names are just like my total and complete weakness. So we have a teacher who is coming in to teach just teens. And so it'll be, from like 15 to 18 years old. And it will be an introduction to writing, an introduction to writing a novel. And so there's going to be it's either 3 or 4 classes in that. Crystal Caudle, I think her name is. I'm sorry. I'm so bad with names and I didn't have it in front of me. I'm almost positive it's Crystal Caudle. And it will come with lunch. And so it's $50 for just teenagers to come and be in this, they'll be all in together. And so they're not going to access all the different workshops in the conference. It'll just be a specialized teen conference that a high school teacher is giving for us. So we're really, really excited.
For $50, what a steal of a deal. 4 classes?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. So the investment registration is open right now. And the investment, now, correct me, that investment includes one one-on-one appointment. Is that right?
1 or 2, maybe 2.
Okay.
Definitely 1.
Okay. And are they 15 minutes? Typically they are at other conferences, but okay. The early bird price, viewers, is, and that runs through March the 31st. So that's like a week from now, a week from today. That's not right. It's 2 weeks from now. Let me not think. It's soon. Early bird price through March the 31st is $199 for all access to all of these specialists, all of these really broad subjects that are done, presented by professionals, $199. And after that, starting from April the 1st through the conference, $249. Does the price, I've got some more information here, but does the price increase or change or added? Is there an add-on for walk-ins? Do you allow walk-ins, Hallee?
We allow walk-ins, yes. It does not increase. It's $249.
Okay, good. If you want to attend only one day, that's possible. Friday only is $150. Saturday only is $99. Still a great deal. And then again, for the teens seminar, $50. And that includes a half day training of 4 classes and meals, lunch, I should say.
And I had said it's from 15. The ages are 13 to 17.
Okay.
15.
Okay. And the meals are included in the investment. So $199 if you do early bird, and all of your meals are included. $249 if you get in April the 1st and forward. And then we've got the lodging. A Holiday Inn Express has a block of rooms for conferees, but there's something special here. You need to actually call the hotel, and this information is on the website. You need to actually call the hotel directly. Don't go through the online reservation service, because they show all the hotel rooms are booked because there's a baseball tournament in town that weekend.
Apparently, yes. We were lucky to get some rooms.
I was really surprised when I saw the baseball tournament. Usually that nixes everything.
Yeah.
So definitely do call the hotel directly. And the $149 a night for that. Let me show you the conference. Tell us, Lee Pollock wants to know, do you have anything for spouses who don't write? Great question, Lee.
There's no specific class for spouses that don't write. There's a way to bring your spouse and they would pay for their meal.
Okay. Say that again, please.
I would be contacting the registrar and saying, can I bring my spouse who isn't going to go to any classes but wants to eat with me? And then we'll tell them how much to pay.
Okay, good. Let me share the website. I always like to do that. So we've got Kentucky Christian Writers Conference, June the 20th through the 22nd. Susan May Warren is right there on the front and center, as she should be. We'll go down.
You know, about Susan May Warren, she is a brilliant teacher, brilliant. And she completely knows her stuff. So it's worth coming to the conference to see her keynotes.
I know that she's sought out as a teacher and a speaker at conferences. Have you been able to listen to her, attend her classes through the years?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Absolutely. I have always enjoyed going to her classes. So,
what makes her so unique? Is it the depth, the scope?
I just truly believe that she's gifted. I think that the Holy Spirit has placed that on her, and she has very organized thinking process. And so everything makes sense to her, and she has the gift of being able to say, here it is, and have you say, oh, well, that makes sense. And here's why, so, and I'll tell you that unless the newsletter's already gone out, if you go to the website, which you were just showing, and sign up for the newsletter, we're giving away this week a copy of her story equation to one of the newsletter subscribers.
A story equation? What is that?
Her book, The Story Equation.
Oh, okay.
Susan May Warren's book on how she plots her books.
And you're giving one away.
We're giving one away, but you got to be a subscriber to the newsletter to get one.
Okay, let me show you. Let's go back. Oh, let me get back to it. Even though we just I hope and pray to get my Mac back. I'll be a new woman when I get my Mac back. Okay, here we are. Subscribe to our newsletter. It's way up here at the top. There may be another place for it. It's a little tiny bit unobtrusive there. And then we've got the newsletter here. You can sign up there. Information about the teen track. There we go. And then also here is Hallie's Facebook profile. And I meant to ask you earlier, what is this about the cookbook? There was something unusual about how you put a twist on cookbooks.
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
So back in 2012 or 13, my husband and I were driving across the mountains in Maryland at Christmas time, and it was snowing really bad. And it was bad. And for some reason, the heat on the passenger side of our van just died. And so we're in like this terrible snowstorm crossing the mountains at Christmas time. And so we kept stopping and trading off, just so one of us could thaw out while the other one took on the curves. I mean, and when you're driving through Maryland, you're driving like this the whole time. So anyway, all the sleeping babies in the back. So we're driving and we stop at this store just to stop. And there's a rack, and this is in the midst of the 50 Shades of Grey phenomenon.
Okay.
And there was a rack of books, and one of them said 50 Shades of Grace. And my husband said, I wish we had thought of that. That's brilliant. So then it was my turn to drive, and we're driving and driving. And I thought he was asleep in defense against the cold air blowing in his feet. And suddenly he sits up and he says, gravy. Could you come up with 50 gravy recipes? And I said, I don't know, maybe. And so I started working on gravy recipes, and at 48, I was sweating it because I just wasn't sure I'd be able to pull off 50, but I managed it. I called spaghetti sauce gravy, and I called chocolate sauce gravy, and I had my 50 gravy. So what it is, I have 50 Shades of Gravy, A Christian Gets Saucy, and I did The Walking Bread, The Bread Will Rise, and I did Iron Skillet Man, The Stark Truth About Pepper and Pots. I don't think I have any of them up here. And I did Hallee Crockpotter and the Chamber of Sacred Ingredients. And so in each of these cookbooks, I basically just kind of use them to cleanse my writing palette in between writing series. And I inside the book, along with all these recipes, because I'm a whole food, real food cook. I grind my own wheat. I make my own bread. I'm in the kitchen about 3 hours a day. And I tackle something about our culture. And so 50 Shades of Gravy, I think you can probably guess what I talk about. But in the midst of this like introduction about why I'm writing a gravy cookbook called 50 Shades of Gravy, I talk about the fact that we are all bound in the chains of sin, but Christ has set us free. Yes. And we don't have to be shackled to that sin anymore. And in The Walking Bread, I talk about our culture's obsession with death and zombies. But the fact is, until we know Christ, we are the walking dead. And then once we have Christ, we are forever redeemed and have everlasting life. Hallee Crockpotter, obviously, I talk about witchcraft or magic. And Iron Skillet Man, there's this concept of, this hero worship. Like we have Captain Marvel just released, and, this whole thing about our culture of these men who saved the world. But there's already been someone who did come and he saved the world. And so my brother, who's an artist, actually drew a picture of Jesus in front of all of these superheroes and says, and that's how I saved the world. And so you see something fun. I have something, one that I'll do that's about frozen meals, and it'll be called Frozen, and then some catchy tagline. And I'll talk about how the princess movement, but how we all have crowns of glory.
I really like your headlines, titles.
That's my cookbooks.
They're so important, but they're so elusive to most of us. Do they just roll like his, like your husband's, Greg? Do they just roll off from your tongue?
Oh no, he's the one who does that. Yeah, no, I just write.
Nice to have somebody.
Yeah, clever is not in my wheelhouse. He's the clever one. So
yeah. It's really nice to have somebody close by that you can call upon, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Ethel Litton has joined us. Hello, Ethel. It's always good to see you, Miss Ethel. Woo. We love you. Christy says, Christy, you taught me how to say your name, and I have forgotten because it's been a while since I've seen you. That's not negative. I'm just explaining my weakness. Is it Hareen? Hallee? Is it Hareen?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for helping me. Christy Hareen says that the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference is going to list what our agents and editors are looking for in terms of proposals, one sheets, ideas. That information is not up yet, but it will be up. That's what Christy wants us to know. It'll be up on the website. Each conferee can sign up for a 15-minute appointment with an agent or an editor or a mentor. And again, make sure you sign up for the newsletter, not just for a chance to get Susan May Warren's latest book, but to have access to the updates and so forth. You need to get on the newsletter. You just need to do it. Christy, I think yes, Susan May Warren. She's offering her reasons why Susan May Warren is such a dynamic teacher. She has a no holds barred approach to writing and loving on others through the writing. She is amazing. Let's see. Judy Gordon Morrow says, Hallee, wow, you do so much. Writing, speaking. I wonder the same thing, Judy. What writing, speaking, grinding wheat, baking, now directing a conference too. Do you ever sleep?
I have a really good partner in crime. So my husband is my saving grace.
What a privilege. Nice to hear that.
Yes.
Thank you, Lord. Judy Gordon Morrow she's also an author. She says, nice to meet you. She teaches at Mount Hermon and other conferences, but almost every year at Mount Hermon. And she's a really dynamic lady with a sweet, gentle heart who knows Jesus on a deep, deep level. All right. What do you think is your most favorite part of the conference as far as seeing let me ask my question. How the conference serves the attendees. What's the favorite part of that for you?
There is something that can't be replaced when you have a Christian Writers Conference that starts every session with worship. And so you get this body of people together that have all, the Bible tells us that we've all been given gifts and that we use those gifts to serve each other and to basically spread the gospel. My mission statement as an author is to create modern day parents that minister to seekers and that uplift fellow believers. And that's, I believe it was an absolute gift from God to do this. And that's, and every word I write is prayed over and everything is for God, for that purpose and nothing for me. And so when you have people been given that same gift, so we're all gifted this way. God has given us all this gift of writing, and he has a reason for each one of us. If one book gets sold by me and saves one person 50 years from now because they found it in a library bargain bin, then I will have fulfilled the mission of that book if that's the only book that ever sells of that book. And so you get a group of these people who have the same mission mind. I want to write for God. I want to love on Jesus with words that the Holy Spirit gives me. And now I'm going to be together with all these people in a room, and I'm going to lift my hands and worship before I go learn. And I cannot tell you the difference. I have been to so many conferences. I have taught at so many conferences, some secular, some Christian. That moment of worship is nowhere else. And it's the same Blue Ridge if you've been to Blue Ridge. It's the same at Mid-South if you've been to Mid-South, at ACFW, all of those places. That worship that you give God, and you're just basically saying, this is from you, and I'm giving it back to you. And that's the best part of it. And then that brings everyone together. These are your brothers and these are your sisters, and we all have this mission. And now let's find out more about each other, and how can we help each other, and what can we do? How can I pray for you? And how can I connect with you later? Because we're all loving on Jesus with our words. And there.
Well said. Well said. Judy Morrow says, you are speaking to you, Hallee. You are so blessed by your husband, Hallee. I love to see a marriage of ministry, and I do too. Too, Judy. And she continues to pray for that blessing for herself. And you're very welcome. You're very welcome for my kind words, but they're not just kind; they're true, Judy. Adria Wilkins says, I love the worship at these conferences. It was just exactly confirming what you just said, Hallee. Christy Hareen says, yes, our writing as worship, our gathering as worship. Diana Derringer, hello, Diana, how are you? She's just arriving. That's all right. We appreciate you being here. We're fixing to close out, but you're welcome to watch the replay, ask questions as you'd like to do that. So good to see you. I hope you've been doing well, Diana. We appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Let's see. So thank you very much, Hallee Bridgeman. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Viewers, I'm just telling you now, Hallee and I are going to be talking about her coming back. I'm looking forward to that. After the conference. Definitely. Thank you for being here. We so appreciate you. Every day, we appreciate you. We thank you for taking the time. We thank you for spreading the word about the program so that other Christian writers and speakers, and those who want to be a Christian writer or speaker, that they can find us, join us, learn from us. And our guests, aren't they wonderful? Aren't our guests wonderful? And this is a favor from God. So praise him for it. This has been episode number 259, the Kentucky Christian Writers Conference with Hallee Bridgeman, Director Hallee Bridgeman. One more time before I close out, Judy Gordon Morrow says that time of worship, right before we go to classes, reminds me of our worship times at the Mount Hermon Christian Writers Conference. Nothing better. And I love how you pray over your every word. Yes. All right, viewers, you know that we're here every weekday for you at 12 Pacific, 3 Eastern. This program is designed exclusively for you to help you learn the craft or further refine the craft of professional writing and speaking. So glad to see you. Bye-bye.